Hello everyone, my name is Lorna and welcome to my channel, well, brand new channel actually, which I aptly named Your Resident Bibliophile, mostly because I love books and I wanted to kind of jump in and take a chance, do something kind of scary and hopefully something that will become a ravishing new hobby of mine. And take a tiny little baby step into the booktube community because I absolutely love books, have for a very long time. And doing something in a creative outlet, starting this YouTube channel has been kind of a bucket list thing for me, for the year or turning 32 or my life, I'm not quite sure. Was definitely inspired to just jump out there and do it, see what people thought. I did actually film another video in my car, uploaded it, and it crashed. I'm not quite sure what happened. Still figuring that out, filming this on my iPhone, figuring out iMovie. And so I thought I'll take a step back, and instead of just doing a rambly video in my car, I will do the Booktube Newbie Challenge and just kind of introduce you to me and my life and what I hope this will become. And need to learn to stop saying "and" so much. Obviously this is the first video I've ever made in life, ever. Probably fairly obvious. No makeup, frizzy hair, spot on the face, definitely not using professional lighting. Got a light behind me, overhead lamp. So let's just get into the questions before I decide not to do this at all and just delete it and pretend I never made this video to begin with. Okay, so question number one is, why did you start this channel? I started this channel because I really love the written word. I have since birth practically. I've been reading since I was about 3 or 4 years old. I love books, podcasts, movies, any kind of script or plot, or just embracing a story, embracing an adventure, just diving into, a new place, a new world. And quite honestly, growing up, there were a lot of times that books were more my friends than actual people. I know it happens. And I think a lot of people, especially avid readers, can relate to that. I'm also a huge advocate for fan fiction. I absolutely adore it. Some of my favorite stories, some of my favorite writers definitely do write fan fiction, and I think it's a great outlet that a lot of people who don't necessarily want to write a blockbuster, who don't necessarily want to be a professional writer, they can really dive in and take familiar settings and familiar characters and play with them and just bring some new life into, say, for example, Harry Potter. Now, as with everything, there are some terrible fan fiction, just as like there are some not so great books. But I think if you really take the time to pick and choose, you can find some real jewels out of there. And there are some that I go back to over and over again. And I would love to maybe read some or, do some reviews on different fan fiction authors of the week or stories, or just share some of my favorites with everyone, and maybe somebody else will fall in love with it the way I have. If you see me looking down, I have a laptop. Didn't memorize all the questions. Again, hey look, I've got some backlighting now. And the next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Probably some really low quality, like, throwback videos for a while. I think I can bring a unique perspective, as, I'm not really, I'm not really a teacher. I'm not really some kind of philosopher. I don't work in the industry, don't actually even have a college degree. Just an avid fan, and someone who can find, I don't exactly know the word, I'll probably find it here in a second, but can find some depth and some meaning, not only in traditional books, but I think in words themselves. And I want to share that with you. Like, I'm the kind of person that a certain book or a certain phrase or, you know, a certain can just instantaneously take me back to a point in my life, you know, a special event or a broken heart or things of that nature. And I love when things cross over and they go from book to film or back and forth, when things really get, you know, to blossom, when it's done well. Because there are some books that they tried to make movies off these books and they were absolutely atrocious. And plus, I feel like, not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but I'm not I'm not famous. I'm very average, you know, plus size, 32, couldn't do my makeup to save my life, still watch YouTube tutorials and still fail epically. Have you seen Pinterest fails? I should probably start a secondary channel for makeup fails or how to not do your hair. But let's just start here and let's see if I can keep this going. And hey, look, it's been about 6 minutes and I haven't had a panic attack. So let's see if I can do it maybe more than one video, and we'll see if I branch out from there. 3 is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I think I'm most excited to be able to interact with other booktubers, other people passionate about the art, passionate about books, to make some new friends, to join a community that I feel is so full of so many diverse people, so many different cultures and so many different outlooks and stages of life. And so hopefully I get to, or, you know, just to reach out to somebody I would love somebody to follow my channel and maybe read a review or watch a review. And maybe they weren't an avid reader before, and maybe I inspire them to go read a book, and then it leads them to reading another book, and then after that they're just hooked. You know, I'm excited to really kind of make it normalized for adults to read all genres of books, including young adult, including children's, quote-unquote children's books, things of that nature. Because I think that there's still some kind of a stigma on that, like, oh, well, you know, you're in your 30s or 40s and you read Twilight? Oh, for shame. You should never be embarrassed for what you love or what you read, and I hope to bring some light to that too. Why do I love reading? Because I feel that books are able to transport me to another place in time that I normally wouldn't be able to go. Like, you can't just go frolic around in Narnia. But with that, you know, simple just immersion into a chapter, into a story, into a character, just into a place, into a time, it can kind of take you away from whatever strife or sadness or anything you might be experiencing in your life. Maybe you're just bored, but maybe there's something really difficult in your life and you can just escape for 5 minutes. I love to be immersed. I love to be able to, I may not be able to go meet, you know, Julius Caesar and experience what it was like to live back in that time period, but I can kind of get an idea by reading about it. What book or series got you into reading? That is so difficult. It really, truly is, because like I said, I've been reading for a very long time. 3 or 4 years old. I think Dr. Seuss is, as silly as that sounds, Dr. Seuss was definitely influential in my life. I absolutely loved everything he did. I planned to buy my son, who's 12 and now is an avid reader himself, all the books when he was younger, because it's just so fun and fanciful. And so, I mean, I was definitely a children's book, but I think a series as I got older, I love the classics. I was the kind of person where the librarian couldn't, gotta pull my laptop back up, where the librarian couldn't keep me in books because I wanted to read everything, and I was reading classics, Jane Eyre, Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, so many books, Shakespeare, Taming of the Shrew, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth. By the time I got to high school, I was practically bored because I'd read half those books already. But those really drew me, and I have in a limited edition version, like leather-bound version of Jane Eyre that my husband got me. And then, of course, my uncle over Christmas, and I burst into tears because it was just beautiful. He gave me the 25th anniversary hardbound edition of The Golden Compass, and I was so touched. And it's actually in this stack of books that's holding up my phone. Let's move on, or this is going to be a 35-minute video, and I'm sure no one will watch it because they're like, who does she think she is? She's made one video and now it's 40 minutes. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I'll do 3. Didn't really think about it, so these are just spur of the moment. But I would ask them, what is one of their secret, like, guilty pleasure books? What is the book that changed their lives? And what is a book that they would pass down to another generation, and why? What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be hardest to overcome? I think my fear of just being on camera. I think my fear of my insecurity in myself. I am terrified of being flayed by social media. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. There's going to be a lot of people that think that I'm not intelligent enough, or I don't read intelligent enough things. 1 second. So I got interrupted there. I was leaving off on the hardest to overcome. I think that there will be a lot of people that don't, see me review something or read something, or they'll be like, oh, well, you Philistine, that's not a real book because you didn't read War and Peace, and you didn't read books on, philosophy, or, things that are going to be inspirational. Like, all I read is, nonfiction about great people on the earth. And I think there's a place for that. But I also think that there's a place for Harlequin romance. I think that anybody has the right to read whatever makes them feel great. And sometimes I want to read a really deep book. I want to read a book that's just going to boggle my mind. That's going to make me read it 14 times before I can even get through to the first 2 chapters of what is actually happening and the depth and the meaning behind it. Sometimes I'm just exhausted and I want to read a 4-chapter fan fiction, just enough to exhaust me, just enough to have my brain settle down long enough for me to go to sleep. I don't think either one's worse than the other. When did you start reading? I already answered that. I started reading when I was about 3 years old. Where do you read? Anywhere and everywhere. A lot of times in my room, on my bed, but my go-to right now is Kindle. Unfortunately, I was definitely, and my lips are really dry, great. I was definitely involved, unfortunately, in the Hurricane Harvey, which drowned most of Houston. Yes, I live in the Houston area. No, I'm not going to tell you exactly where, because people can be crazy. And so a lot of my actual physical books were destroyed. Some of these that you see in the back here are my husband's books from when he was younger. So I do use my Kindle a lot. It's mobile. I read it in the car. I read it in my bed. I read it on the couch. I read it on the kitchen table in the morning. Just basically anywhere and everywhere. That's where I read. What kind of books do you like to read? I go through phases. Sometimes I want to read classics. Sometimes I want to read something really hilarious. One of my favorite books of all time is Good Omens, and I'm so excited about the series coming out. I also love American Gods. Went through a phase of Terry Pratchett. Sometimes I want to reread Harry Potter. Sometimes I want to read, not generally a fan of horror. I like suspense. I do absolutely love Stephen King. Cannot read everything he writes, though. Some of it will not let me sleep at night. But I would love to be locked in a room with that man and just pick his brain for 2 hours to just be able to see the brilliance behind what he can accomplish. So I like to read all kinds of things. I like to read very simple books. I love to read biographies. I love to read comedy. Some of my favorite books, I said, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, Stardust by Neil Gaiman, Guards by Terry Pratchett. Discworld is great and hilarious. Mort, if you haven't read it, go read it. Good Omens. Memoirs of a Geisha. I do love Philippa Gregory. I do love historical fiction. It is a fan favorite of mine too. So The Other Boleyn Girl, The Constant Princess. Just in this list alone, there's also one. I absolutely love podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts is Welcome to Night Vale. Sorry, it took me a second. And so my husband, for Christmas, he got me It Devours by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Cranor, which are two of the main people in Welcome to Night Vale. I absolutely love it. And it's great. And I haven't yet to read it, but I will. So I think it really just depends on my mood and where I'm at and what phase I'm in and whatever catches my interest. I think if it's good, I will at least give it a chance. I will say, unfortunately, my husband, one of my husband's favorite books, sorry, my eyes itch. One of my husband's favorite books of all time was Lord of the Rings. And I, unfortunately, have not been able to make it past the Shire. For shame. I know. Scrub top. I definitely work in the medical industry, so that's my main job. I'm not planning. If I can make some money from this, great, but that's not my goal here. I just want to reach out to people. I just want to be able to say what I think and bring some perspective and get to meet all you lovely people. So, I don't really have a schedule now of how often I'm going to upload. I'm still working out the kinks, but thumbs up. I am setting up some of my social media so you can interact with me, and I would love that. Probably going to be separate than my normal everyday social media just for a little bit until I can get that ironed out too. But come and find me. Definitely leave a comment. I will be happy to reply. And if you subscribe, that's great. But I'll see you around. And I'm going to end this before it gets too much longer. And if you have any ideas of books you would like me to read or what you would like me to do, if you'd like me to have a regular segment going over fan fiction or, integrated podcasts or my favorite movies and books that have been together, I suggestions of maybe books of the week for different people, like books of the week for mothers that they can read to their kids, or, suggestions of how to progress children who are a little more advanced in reading, but not quite their age level wise for some of the more advanced books. So, you guys have a great day. I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get a little more comfortable with this, and leave me some comments and responses, but please be nice. I'd really appreciate it if you did. Okay, bye guys.